Welcome back to Outriders. In this video, I want to talk to you about... I don't even know if it's new content or DLC. I'm going to say it's DLC because it's taken them a very long time to do it. And typically, if you're getting a small amount of content, like basically some new gear and weapons and stuff, in a game, then it wouldn't take too long to do it. However, the game's been out for 6 months. They're still working on it. There's no release date or anything like that. We've not even had a teaser. Besides them telling us new content is coming in the corner of the appreciation package post, and then they also mentioned it in one of their recent developer news that they're working on the future of the game. So when it comes to this DLC, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to bring a lot of players back, people will be happy to play the game, or it's going to basically wipe out a lot of the remaining players, and there aren't too many of them. The game is averaging around 1,000 concurrent players on Steam in a 24-hour window. It has been for a good few weeks now, and that's around Avengers numbers, but Avengers took maybe about a year or something to, well, a little less than a year to get to them sorts of numbers, whereas Outriders has done it in about 5-6 months, like a really, really short amount of time. So in my opinion with this, the DLC or whatever it is, I'm going to refer to it as DLC. I believe it should be completely free for people to play, especially wanting to bring players back after everything the player base for this game has actually had to go through. And there are people out there that will sit there and say, there's nothing wrong with this game, never has been, never will be, it's amazing, it works perfectly, blah 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 blah. If it worked that well, there wouldn't be updates so often for it. When the game launched, 4 days of server issues. Then a week after the game launched, there was a huge nerf to, I think it was 3 of the 4 game classes, like character classes in the game. There were inventory wipes. There has been damage mitigation issues where you're taking way more damage than you should, but there's also been an issue where you're playing co-op and you don't deal damage. There's been a lot of issues in the game, so basically so on and so forth. I think it should be free after everything this player base has had to put up with in the last 6 months. However, this game is a business. Like, the companies working behind it are running a business, having this game available for people to play. So I can't see them giving it away for free. And I think it's probably going to be one of them DLCs that's priced at about £15-20, if it's going to have a paid price to it. They could release it for free, however I don't think they're going to. If they do decide to do it for free, I think they might put some monetization like microtransaction stuff in there. But this £15-20 price tag that I've personally put on it, from just opinion, I think that's going to be charged to the people playing through Game Pass as well. In fact, they might actually bring it out of Game Pass, so those who have been playing through Game Pass will have to buy the game. Because these developers and Square Enix, the publishers, they haven't given a shit about the game since it come out. Not properly. They don't care about the community or anything like that. They have just simply wanted to grab their money, and it feels like they've moved on to other stuff. Because for the last 2 updates, they've both been delayed for over a month each, and there has been huge issues like the inventory wipes that lasted like 2 months as well. So things I'd like to see in the new content DLC, I would like to see a new class put into the game that has a lot of buffs for the team like the Pyro does, because the Pyro, to me at least, feels it's pretty much the only character that has a good amount of buffs that will help the team out. Although at the same time, I don't want to see a new character in the game, because I believe it's going to create an even more unbalanced game, and it's probably going to push the Devastator out of the game completely. A lot of people don't like the Devastator because it's more of a tanky sort of class, and the entire endgame is based on DPS. A lot of players do just go to the Techno, the Pyro and the Trickster for the damage dealing. You can get a really strong Devastator, but you need to know how to build it properly in order to get a good amount of damage from it. And there's very specific things you have to run. There's a lot of stuff you can't use because it won't output enough damage. So seeing a new character class in the game would be cool to have a new class to play as, but at the same time would make the game even more unbalanced. Another thing, I would like to see the expedition timer removed. I feel it shouldn't have even been put in at launch, but 6 months later, I think a lot of people are going to agree with that one. So devs, just remove it. It is not hard to remove the timer. Let people just play how they want to play. It's a PvE only game. None of this stuff should ever have been forced. But also, Tiago, I want him to have a rotating stock like he should have had since the game launched. I don't know why they still haven't put that in. And then also I'd like to see new expeditions with none of the copy-paste bosses they've used. And I want to see good mechanics in them that will require teamwork, so it's not just a run and gun DPS. I want to see if they can basically make like dungeon sort of stuff and closer to like mini raids than just, oh, you're going to run this mission, do this, kill these enemies, get to the end, open your pods, get your loot. And because it's DLC, they don't have to strictly stick to the expeditions. They can change it all up. I want to see new weapons and gear sets that have unique abilities, but rotating attributes need to come into the game, as well as a rotation, basically like a targeted loot sort of system, just so that it's not all 100% RNG. Even if they create a new rarity for weapons and they go like, oh, here's exotics, like weapon and gear pieces, even if they do that and have specific things you have to run on certain days in order to get them, it's going to add a lot of replayability to the game. But with the rotating attributes, just make them more dynamic for different builds. Because currently you can't rotate the attributes, so you find a gear piece, you never need to find it again. Like, you don't have to get specific stats and stuff on it. All you got to do is change the mods over and you're sorted. And the mods are even locked as well. And then carrying on from the expeditions with no copy-paste bosses, it would be nice if they come away from the expeditions, maybe just remove the timer from the expeditions and slap in a different game mode, so that it's not all based on the expeditions after the story. Maybe put some exotic gear in there, as I said, in some, like, lock some exotic gear behind dungeon type levels or mini raids, as I mentioned, but don't do it so that you have to go and get a team of 8 players. You have to run this based on RNG all the time, and the RNG percentages are really low. Like, make it fair to the player, but make it a bit challenging as well. Don't hand it to people on a plate, but don't make it ridiculous, like 450-hour grinds like it was for the fucking Death Shield. And then just to wrap it up, in terms of the title, depending how the reveal was done, for whatever content they add in, and depending on how it looks when it's revealed, I honestly think the game could see an increase, if it's good, of between maybe 2 or 5 to 20 times the amount of players the game currently has. So maybe move up to, like, I reckon at least 5 figures again, so a minimum of a 10 times player increase. And I'm talking about Steam. I can't actually find concurrent player counts for console. But if the marketing's half-assed, if they don't put effort in, I think they can expect to see no more than, I've originally put a 3 to 4 times player base increase, but I'm going to say 2 to 3 times, and for about a week then the numbers will dip again like it always does with Avengers, and it'll pretty much be the final nail in the coffin, as it just takes them forever to do anything with this game. 6 months later they haven't even put out a teaser for new content, and they said if the game does well at launch, they will add new content. So they knew it did well at launch, even after like 2 weeks, so they've had roughly around 5-6 months to work on this sort of stuff, but they've just focused on other things that they've kind of had to, like inventory wipes and everything. But now the major issues are out of the way, I feel it's time to give us something in terms of the future of this game before it just completely drops off everyone's radar and no one gives a shit. But that's going to do it for this video. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it.